Namaste, everyone. Today we want to take a look at how to transform your bed. This is number 5 in the 8 different fixing your furniture series, right? This should be the tipping point for just about everybody. This video is going to be the same for everyone, no matter what your posture ranking. Everybody lays down, laying down, right? Half of it is kind of kid, half of it is kind of grown up, but I think it's probably good for everyone to hear all of this. So let's take a look at what's going on with beds. There's 4 things to think about. The first one, of course, is the mattress. As some of you know, there's 2 basic kinds of mattresses. There's mattresses that have a bunch of springs that are covered by some kind of fabric, which is usually a more natural material. Well, nowadays, not so much. And the other kind is some kind of foam, which is some kind of plastic creation, right? So based on what I've already said in other videos, like not wanting to cover all of your skin, if you're wearing spandex, for example, you want to make sure that your leggings are not made out of polyester or plastic, because then your skin can't breathe, right? That's how we keep our food from spoiling, right? Well, it's true. Sleeping on plastic isn't all that great in the breathing sense. That is a fact. That's actually the chief complaint with the mattress. With the big, thick ones, they hold heat way too well and people sweat to death. That's the big complaint, right? However, even though I am a hardcore naturalist, I would recommend the foam mattresses for everyone universally. I do agree with the literature. I've had the same experience as the literature, which basically shows that if you're in any kind of pain, it's going to help decrease that pain. It's going to be a much less stressful surface to sleep on, right? So, the only thing to really consider when it comes to the foam mattresses, a lot of the problems that the spring mattress had just go right out the window. You don't even really need to consider them. They don't warp nearly as easy as the spring mattresses, for example. If people would lay in one spot or wherever you go to sit down, those spots would tend to get really, really, really dented because it's only one little spring holding all your weight. But when you're lying down, it's supposed to be dozens of springs holding all your weight, right? So foam is different. It just works differently. It can be deformed and it will regain its shape. You're not going to damage it by squishing it. So that's a huge positive, especially for people who have habits with their motion, where they tend to create spots like that. And that's almost everyone, right? So the other thing to consider is how thick is your mattress. This might actually look a little bit thick because of the sheets and stuff. This is the smallest kind they make. It's only a 4-inch mattress. I highly recommend it for everyone who is under 200 pounds. If you're at 200 pounds, you're not like pushing the envelope, right? Like it's comfortable for 200 and under. If you're getting up to 250 or 300, that's a little different. You definitely want to move up to the 6-inch. I don't think you're going to sweat to death on a 6-inch. But the secret is to have a flat surface underneath your mattress. See, when you get the regular bed frames that comes with foam mattresses, it's some kind of grid or metal, and there's a lot of air. And the idea is that it lets the mattress breathe more, which is absolutely true and very important. However, it totally kills the ability of the mattress to hold your weight without you going right through the foam and sinking onto those springs. I weigh about 150 pounds. It's very, very easy for me to get hurt by the frame underneath me if I'm on a 4 or a 6-inch mattress on top of one of those metal frames. It just doesn't work. But if you just throw a sheet of wood over it, or anything, any flat anything, doesn't even have to be strong. It could even be like flexible, right? Any kind of flat surface that you can lay over the top is going to work just fine. It's going to create the resistance you need to be able to comfortably hold 200 pounds without you going all the way through the foam. And because it is a thinner mattress, it's going to be way less heavy to cart around. It's going to be super easy to move. It's going to be a lot easier to keep clean. And it's going to be a lot easier to ventilate, even though you got it on top of a flat surface now instead of with that air thing, because it's so much less of a mattress. I mean, it's like at least 50% less mattress, right? They usually make them really tall. It's because everybody's gotten pretty heavy and they got them on stupid frames, right? Sorry, but that's my opinion, right? So you get the idea. Put something flat under it, you're good to go. If you're a kid, obviously all that's way too much for you. You don't need to worry about this nearly so much. You're on the lighter end of the scale, so no matter what kind of mattress you have, it's probably going to be okay. You just want to pay attention to the rest here. Oh, I almost forgot. I'm doing this video in the camper because this is the closest thing I have to a regular bed. In the camper, I can't put it on the ground, which is where it belongs. If you are up in the 2 to 3 range, I would strongly recommend you consider putting your mattress on the floor. If you want to be able to be 50 years old, and be able to go up and down with absolutely no trouble ever, all you have to do is put your mattress on the floor. It's amazing how that just seems to condition the body somehow. Every time I spend a long period of time sleeping on mattresses that are up off the ground, wow, does my whole body suffer for it. It's absolutely amazing. So there's not going to be too many people that take me up on that one, right? We're just going to show how to work with what usually people have in their bedroom. So the second thing to look at here actually does involve this little board here. I'm going to take it, look at what happened, because mostly, who goes up to their bed and jumps on their knees like that, right? That might be proper posture. It might be the easiest way to sit, and it's super easy to do when you're on a mattress, right? But most people just come up and sit down, right? Yeah. So you can probably see that I've got something under my toes here, right? That's definitely on purpose, because if I just sit down on this mattress here, it throws my whole posture off. Okay, it doesn't allow my feet to be square. If my feet are, if this was at the proper height for me, it's up about here, right? I can sit like this, anybody can do it, but I can feel it's pulling my whole body off. So the thing to do in this little camper, I just use a block of wood because it's easily portable. It's the right height, right? You want to make it the right height for you, whatever that is. I can just stick that under my feet. Now I can sit here comfortably. Now it's no trouble at all. It's not pulling my whole body out of whack. If this is in a more permanent place in your house, you can make this much bigger, right? You just make a little, get a sheet of wood, maybe a foot or two across, right? Of whatever thickness you want, and just set it wherever your sitting spot is. This makes a huge, huge difference. And also you want to make sure that you reinforce wherever you're sitting at, especially in campers. This stuff is made really cheap. It's not very strong, right? So I've got a nice thick, well, that's not a 2x4, that's a 2x6, but you get the idea. It's extra strong, and you put it right on the edge there, and you can run up on this thing. It's just fine. Ooh, I'm going to dump my water, right? So between the foam mattress and the little extra reinforcement right here, you're going to have a great sitting spot. And this is super important. As the cleaning lady, I have a pretty good idea how many people sit right here on a regular basis. Oh, they get tired. They just, by the time you hit your bedroom, especially if you're a grown-up, right, you're kind of exhausted to begin with. And you just kind of sit here, it's like, oh. So if this spot is not set up for good posture, you're hitting it up with extra abuse just when you need it the least, right? It is super easy to fix up your sitting spot. And I know way too many people that this is just like a hangout place, right? They haven't set up proper furniture elsewhere. Maybe they're in their 20s and they're just kind of living in their spots, right? So they got a spot where they sit in the bed. That's where they eat. That's where they read. They're sitting on their phone, what have you, right? If you spend a lot of time sitting on your bed and this is the wrong height and all, oh man, this is a wrecker, okay? So just reinforce it a little, put down your floor, you're good to go. Okay, so the third thing to look at, of course, is, actually, no, we want to do that last. Let's do the pillow next, because how are you going to show laying down properly without pillows, right? This one is hard to say who's going to want what. So I'm just going to give an overview of all the things that there are to play with, and you are going to have to experiment to see what's going to work best for you. You already know that those big dumpy looking things that are sold in stores are bad news. Absolutely. But they are helping protect you too. Depending on how much you slouch, you can't just abandon that, right? So kind of like with your shoes, if you are really used to having a big pillow underneath you and trying to lay down just flat like this, if this is going to cause you pain, okay, then keep your pillow the way it is and just take it down a notch, just like your shoes, right? Make it a little less tall than you usually have it. That's all you do. And then you add another neck pillow that's going to help start relaxing the middle that's getting skipped. Because when you use a big pillow, unfortunately I don't have one for the demonstration here, but it's kind of holding you like this. So if you just do it a little bit less and then you put one right in here, it's going to start out being very small if you have a lot of pillow under you, right? But it's something right here, because you actually do want a pillow for proper posture. Okay, if you have absolutely no pillow at all, I can't really demonstrate this on anything except a hardwood floor, so we're just going to have to use our imagination here, right? But if I was on a hard floor, you would see that if I was laying flat on my back, there's a space right here of at least 2 inches where my neck is not touching the floor. So if you just lay down with no pillow at all, gravity is pulling on that part of your neck into that unwanted reverse curve. Like, it's actually stressful on your neck. It is good to have a pillow. What we have is pillows that are completely the wrong shape. So what you want to do, oh, I should have undone one of this. We'll have to undo it super quick here. All right, gonna have to waste a little tape to show you how one of these is made. So, okay, lots of times chiropractors will show this trick to their patients to help start getting them on the road to fixing their neck. So you just take a regular towel. I find for beginners, if you've got a really big towel, just cut it in half because it's too much towel, right? Just fold it in half, right? And what you want to do is start making a roll. Just roll it up like a log. Just make a log towel, right? So the way to decide the proper size for you is to start, you can roll it up. Make sure we got this on the video here. You can roll it up a wee bit to start. But you lay down on top of it, put that in that spot in your neck, then just keep twirling it until you find the comfortable spot. You might want to take a little bit of time with it, right? Let it kind of settle in. You don't want it to be so much that it feels like it's stretching, but you don't want it to be so soft that it feels like there's nothing there. Okay, that was a bit much. All right, okay. Oh, see, my neck is tense today. Usually I have this rolled up a bit more. You get the idea. For me, oh yeah, there we go. No, that was right. So you're going to have to play around with this a bit in order to find the exact right amount for your neck. I've done this enough, and this is already cut to size. I knew that was going to be the size I wanted. And then you just cut the extra off, put some duct tape on the ends, and voila, you now have a neck pillow. So if you are on the much, much less mobile side, you're going to want something on the smaller side. You're going to want more like a child-sized one instead of a grown-up-sized one, because you've got a horrible, horrible, big, bad reverse curve in your neck, right? You want to be real gentle on that. The chiropractors usually recommend that you start, especially if you have a slightly bigger one, you only use it for 10 minutes at a time, just to give it a bit of a stretch, right? And then you take a break because you're not used to that much motion. And it is good to give it a bit of a stretch like that with one that is a little bigger. But I find that it's even more important to have a slightly smaller one that does not create that extra stretch that you can actually keep there as you sleep. It's powerful, powerful stuff. And if you don't make it so big, then you can definitely get away with keeping it there. That's going to, even if you're still being held up by your big pillow, right? Sneaking this in there is really going to help start relaxing it in the right way. And then your whole back is going to start wanting to go lower and lower until it can actually stretch out flat again, right? So, That is what works for when you're on your back. But as my daughter would point out, kids notice the same things that people who've had traumatic injuries notice. Nobody is comfortable sleeping on their back unless they're sick. If something's gone wrong, suddenly it's the only way you can lay. So there's three basic ways that people lay down. There were a lot of mothers that have learned to keep babies on their tummies because then it kept the baby from rolling out of the crib or something like that, right? Or if they had it on a flat surface, they didn't want them to fall down. They honestly would trap the babies on their stomachs. I myself am one of the babies that was put to sleep on their stomachs an awful lot. And I am very comfortable like that. There's times when I just feel like I can't fall asleep unless I'm on my stomach. There's just something about it. It's like ingrained into my brain, right? This is stuff we learn when we're really, really small. How you sleep has a lot more to do with what your mom did when you were a baby than it does with your habits, really. Well, that's what built your habits, right? So, let's see. You want to have some other pillows available for other styles of sleeping. If you are, like when I broke my back, I absolutely could not lay down except on my back. Nothing else was even possible. But if that does feel really uncomfortable, you can still stick with what you're used to doing. You just want to make some tweaks, right? So there's the three main ways. If you're on your back, of course, you've got your little neck pillow, and that works perfectly. If, however, if you're on your stomach, then you really don't need anything at all, right? I'm guessing that most of the very sick people are not going to be stomach sleepers because it really does force your neck back into better posture. Like, it's just kind of automatic. You can't help but tip your head in the proper direction if you're laying on your stomach. I don't know. Maybe that's one of the reasons that kids kind of like laying like that. Whatever the case may be, I don't see a whole lot of people doing that. And there's not really any adjusting to be done. There's nothing you can really do to tweak that. If you put your head on a pillow, it would be like, I don't think I've ever seen anyone do that ever. However, if you're on your side, all the other pillows become very important. If you are a bigger person, then actually those big dumpy store pillows can be very useful. They're good between your legs, and they're good when you're on your side if you're a very large person. I don't mean heavy in that sense, I mean tall. If you're a very tall person, there is literally more inches of a difference between your ear and the bed. And that needs to be filled in with something that's not going to be pulling you off like this, right? So most people are pretty good about getting the neck one, actually. I want to show you an assortment of my favorite shapes. This one definitely works very well, and you can kind of shift around as you sleep, and it'll kind of stay with you. You do have to make sure you have one that's big enough to use on your side, or else have another one to complement if you're going to use it on your side, but you get the idea. The most popular one is an animal shape with 4 legs. That's what I've noticed. It's popular for a couple of reasons, because there's so many different parts to it. In some positions, you're going to want the big part. And in other positions, you're going to want the neck. And in other positions, you might want to stick that leg somewhere. They're just very useful because they have these appendages. If you have a nice 4-legged stuffed animal, that works very well. Stuff like this works pretty okay because it's got a couple of flexible parts, right? Not quite as wonderful. This one is one of my very favorites. This is a dog. It's got a really nice fat butt, and this one is more dense. It doesn't squish so easily. This one is honestly pretty soft. That's really for a kid-sized one. Some of the stuffed animals are very, very soft. They're not going to do you a whole lot of good. You want the ones that are a little thicker and tougher, and they don't squash so easy. They're not as popular with the kids, but they're much better for sleeping with. Small pillows, if you want to stick with the square one and you make them longer and smaller, they do work a lot better. Now you can shove them places much more conveniently. And I think that's about it. Oh, this is another one. This one is okay, I guess. I'm not all that impressed with these. I think this one ends up working better. But the nice thing about the ones like this is that they're stuffed with this beady kind of stuff. You got the plastic thing going on again, but You know what? It's a great material that allows you to lay comfortably without it keep going down and down and down and down as it gets squashed. Like these kinds of stuffed animals, you got to be a little careful with, because the longer you lay on them, the more flat they get, and that can cause trouble, right? So have some fun playing with your or somebody's stuffed animals to see which ones you like the best. For the side sleepers, the two things to think of, make sure all of me is on the video here, is of course the neck. So when I'm on my side, I usually have something like this. And I can use that one. Actually, I usually use the dog. And it works very, very well. So I'm doing the neck here first. Oh, I can tip my head back, which is another thing you cannot do with the big square store pillows. You kind of get prevented from squiggling around. These animals can stay with me, and I can do all kinds of scooching and squiggling to make sure I get perfectly comfortable without completely losing my pillow. I mean, you just can't do that with one of those big square pillows. If you've ever tried, it's like completely impossible, right? So, however, you don't want to forget about your legs. Some people don't realize that their hip problems, the best one I've got for that right here is this one. We keep this, like, notice I did not pull out the big dumpy looking one for the neck pillows, right? This one is much more like the big square pillows in the stores. And that one, of course, I keep around for between your knees. Because think of your proper posture again. Your knees are not supposed to be together. Okay, so if you take that pillow out and you put your knees together when you sleep, you are pulling yourself out of alignment the whole time you sleep. There's a reason they tell pregnant ladies to sleep like this. Although pregnant ladies, it's even better. Actually, it's comfortable if you do it when you're not pregnant too. Let's take another one right under your belly there. Oh, now this is like, what do they call it? Gravity-free sleeping or something. Every part of me is so well supported that I am truly comfortable. That is never going to happen on your side without a lot of good pillows. So I would suggest to everyone, because I know almost everyone is a side sleeper, to start playing with your pillows. You know, if you're one of the sleepers that's always got to shift to the other side every few hours, it's because you don't have something like a pillow between your knees. Try it, and I bet you it's going to change. Let's see, what else do we got here? Oh, yeah, that's what the fourth one was. So number 3 was the pillow, which rolls right into number 4, which is the different ways people have to lay down. So that's really about it. There's a lot of sleep problems that people have, like snoring, sleep apnea, where you actually stop breathing for a little while, all these kinds of little conditions. Now, it's not a guarantee by any means, but if you fix your posture when you sleep, it's at least going to improve this stuff. Half the time, it really is being caused by nothing more than a bad sleeping posture. You know, if you're kind of cutting off your windpipe in the same position with those horrible store pillows, right? I mean, there's a reason everybody talks about, I mean, it's like a running joke about how your spouse snores, right? Oh, daddy's snoring again. You can hear him at the neighbors, right? Well, fix his pillow and he's not going to snore. Okay, now again, this is not a guarantee. There's other things going on sometimes, absolutely. But it's even if there is some underlying condition, fixing your posture is going to radically improve whatever your problem is, because it was definitely making it worse. So that's your encouragement. So if you're taking this for credit again, make sure you send me a picture of your new pillow, right? That's about it. Namaste. Now I got to get up and get all the way over to the camera to turn it off. There we go. Namaste.